Unfortunately, the front of my bumper got ran into when the car was packed and I wasn't sat in the car. And when I returned, I also noticed a crack on my plate, okay? Without any note left behind saying who did it, so used it for a protracted period of time and currently feel at this point in time the grotesque look of the number plate necessitates a number plate change. So I've grabbed myself some pliers to get them white caps off them screw heads and some WD-40 specially silicone, to lubricate them screw heads, so that it makes it a lot easier to get off them screw heads. Replicate the process for the other 3 screw heads and wipe off any excess of the front number plate. This video shows you how to retrofit or install new number plates on your car alongside other troubleshooting methods or alternatives. So, I will be replicating the process by spraying the WD Specialist silicone on the bolt heads of the back number plates. So, I will be spraying the WD-40 Specialist silicone or the WD lithium grease on them 2 bolts, which are quite rusty and wouldn't torque loosen. So here, the Specialist silicone is being sprayed on the bolt head to lubricate them parts. And then subsequently, wipe off any excess on the worn out back number plate. The screws on the front number plate come off relatively easily from the plastic or rubber bumper. So I will be torque loosening all 4 screws and utilizing the existing holes on the old number plate or the rubber bumper to drill new holes onto the new number plate. You can also use the Specialist white lithium grease to lubricate the rusty bolts or screws. Here we've got a 5-piece screw extractor from anywhere between 3mm to 18mm. Each extractor is made up of hardened steel with a tapered design. 4 M3 to M18 type bolts with reverse threaded shafts for removal of broken screws and bolts. These extractors can be used for fixings ranging from 1/8 to 3/4 inch. To use the extractor bits, I will need to pilot holes through the bolt head. So I have selected the hardened steel extractor with respect to the type of bolt and its diameter to prevent drilling an oversized hole that's surplus to requirements. It's sat correctly in the chuck of the drill. So I have used the new screw as a rough guide, and you can see that the threading profile on the screw is somewhat slightly larger than the tapered design on the extractor, and it just about tallies with the new screw head. Pretty much just to ensure that I'm not drilling a hole that's larger than the diameter. So I couldn't get any bite or pilot hole traction when pilot drilling through the bolt head. So it's pointless using the extractor straight on. So I'd have to, swap the extractor for a Cobalt drill bit, which essentially can be used to drill through metal or cold rolled steel. This or your titanium bits are preferred. Don't use your wood bits or your high-speed steel bits or your masonry bits, okay? And here you can see that the Cobalt drill bit is slightly lesser than the tapered design on the extractor profile. So I have set the drill speed to 1 for drill bits of anywhere between 1.5 to 5.5mm. This is a 3mm drill bit, Cobalt drill bit. So I'll be drilling the bolt head, and once I've successfully pilot drilled the bolt head, I will be reversing the drill or the extractor tapered design from the bolt head, and that should get the bolt head out okay. You don't always have to go down this route. You could use a heavy duty cut-off rotary disc with a medium speed, high speed rotary tool to make a flathead screwdriver groove on the bolt head, okay. Then you could use your screwdriver to get the bolt out, but this is quite rusty. I presume that if I'd done that, I'd have cut off the bolt head. And that's because the rust on the bolt head and its threading are stuck in position due to corrosive rust. And so when I extract the extractor steel taper on the reverse from the drill, it doesn't torque loosen the bolt head. This is the zoomed in position, okay? Even if the bolt is not overly centralized, you should get some form of traction at least. Okay, so I've decided to use some vice grips to see if I can get the other bolt head out or tuck loose in the other bolt head. To increase the tension or get more grip on the bolt head, close both the fixed and the movable handles of the vice grip. Pull up the release lever to undo them handles when you're done. For increased tension or grip force, tuck tighten or turn the adjustment screw clockwise. And to release the grip, turn the adjustment screw anti-clockwise, and you can see that the jaws are opening up, okay, and that's because I'm turning the adjustment screw anti-clockwise. To close the jaw, turn clockwise, okay. And if you want more grip force or tension, open both handles from the closed position. Now that you've got the jaws opened, tuck tighten or turn the adjustment screw clockwise for increased force or tension. And you can just about hear the alligator interlocking fixed locked jaw snap sound. Repeating the process here again so you can hear the firm snap grip sound. This snap sound enables or connotes a firmer grip on the bolt head you're trying to remove. If you want something more incisive, click on the link in the description, which entails and details how to use a vice grip appropriately. If you decide to remove the bolt from the back through the boot tailgate main trim panel, you would still have to deal with a metallic frame on the inside, which will hinder access to the bolts and nut that secures the number plate to the car's bodywork. In other instances, when you take off the boot's interior mat, you get direct access to the bolts. And then you can use your vice grips to get the bolts out, but take care that you do not strip the threading on the bolt. The bolt from the back end may protrude from an awkward angle in the metal frame, so knocking it out from the back with a hammer may not be feasible. Or touching up the bolt with heat and then knocking it out may also not be feasible. So each case is peculiar and needs to be reviewed on a case-by-case basis. In my case, I had corrosive rust through the bolt thread, and the corrosive rust has seized the bolt in the bolt hole. To get a secure grip, I had to break off the old number plate so that I could get access to the bolt head. And when I used a vice grip to undo the bolt head anti-clockwise, both bolt heads broke off due to corrosive rust and mechanical wear and tear. And also something to think about, when installing your number plates at the rear, do not use stainless steel security bolts, because if they come on corrosive rust, it may be quite a challenging task to get them off, okay? This is not the case in this instance. So I have got two options left here. One is to drill through both bolt heads and then tap both heads with new threading so I can secure new bolts onto them. But I do not want to reuse the existing corrosive rusted bolts. It's pretty much up to you, but I've chosen in this case to shove two new screws through the back, okay? You don't have to do this. You might just have to work through the process of getting both bolts out through any of the processes in the aforementioned. So what I have decided to do is to use a heavy-duty rotary tool and a cut-off disc or an angle grinder to get the protruding bits of the bolt heads flush against the bodywork, so that when I install the new number plate, it's quite flush against the bodywork. Just make sure you wear the appropriate safety glasses when performing this activity. Your eye safety shield and your welding helmet is necessary when using this tool. So for the back number plate only, I haven't used existing holes. I have pilot drilled and opened up new holes, okay, to enable a tight fit on the final size, whose hole diameter is slightly smaller than the diameter of the screw that you'd want to install, on the number plate. And this is the cap that goes on the screw once I'm done with installation. You can use your titanium or cobalt jobber drill set to drill through the bodywork, and so I just tuck tighten, the screw and the washer onto the number plate. And as you can see, it is quite sturdy and has got a rigid connection. And not to worry, I will show you how to drill through existing hole on the front number plate. So I will spray some w.r.t specialist silicone, just to lubricate the bolt head and the threading. And also make sure that you check the bolt caps on your number plates periodically, just to make sure that you're not missing any caps there. And if you're missing, retrofit the caps on the bolt heads so that you do not have to deal with corrosive rust all the time. The next step would be to remove all 4 bolts from the rubber or plastic bumper. Then subsequently get some snow foam into some warm water and give the rubber or plastic bumper a very good wash. Okay, this is an opportunity to clean the bumper. Once done, rinse thoroughly, and then subsequently, once somewhat dry, apply the vinyl and rubber care to give it that shiny, glossy look. And once you're done spraying in all areas, retrieve the obsolete or defective number plate. And it retrofit screws that will be used in screwing the front number plate onto the front bumper. These are the new caps in white and yellow, as well as them screws that will be going through the front number plate. And so basically you can see that they are somewhat almost the same. So if the pre-drilled existing holes are snug fit, this would fit, but if they're slightly oversized, you might need a bigger screw, but they should fit okay. So the drill bit's profile should be slightly smaller than the profile of the new screws, which is pretty evident here. So select the required drill bit based on the diameter of the drill bit and the diameter of the screw. Threading profiles. You can mask the length of the screw on the drill bit so you do not drill further than you require, okay? Using a masking tape. So I have selected a 3.5 to pilot and a 5mm to final size. So the first step to drilling the front number plates would be to get some scrap material or hardwood plywood on the workbench to prevent you from drilling further onto the workbench. And then subsequently utilize the old or defective front number plate as a drilling template. So latch the old number plate on the new number plate to match dimensionally so that they fit each other's outline. And you can see that the outside perimeter of both the old and new number plate have got the same provenance or locus. Suffice to say, they match and they fit. So once you're sure that none of the edges of both number plates are protruding from either side, you clamp them on to each other so that when you're drilling there is no play and there is no movement, and that you can drill the pre-existing holes on the old number plate onto the new number plate. And if you correctly extrapolate the old hole positions onto the new number plate, the new number plate should fit on the bumper without any hitches or impediments. Here, both number plates have been adequately secured onto the workbench with the aid of 2 G-clamps. The next step would be to pilot drill the hole with a 3.5mm drill bit and open it up with a 5mm drill bit, or you can just open up the hole with a 5mm drill bit, to final size, as the material that you're drilling is quite soft, but I prefer to go progressively, whichever you choose, it's fine here. And so here I will be replicating or repeating and reproducing the entire process for all 4 hole sizes. So here I am swapping the 3.5mm drill bit for a 5mm drill bit to open up the piloted holes to final sized holes, okay? Just make sure you vary the speed to 2 for drilling, okay? And then subsequently repeat the drilling process for the remainder of them 2 holes. So swap out the 3.5mm for a 5mm and open up the pre-drilled piloted hole to a finer sized hole. using a 5mm drill bit. Take care not to drill through the hardwood plywood onto the workbench if you're trying to preserve your workbench aesthetically. Okay, you should feel the drill bit rip through the number plate, and when it gets onto the hardwood plywood, you get a different, traction or force through the drill itself. So drill carefully and progressively as opposed to erratically. Okay. And you can see that all 4 holes have been drilled onto the new number plate using the old plate as a template. And you can see that the screw fits when I slave it into position, okay? And this is how far the screw would drive into the bumper. The old number plate is no good, so you can either scrap it or bin it, but you can see the material that it's made up of. This is a printhead to the material. You can choose to install a 3D or a 4D number plate. The difference is just in the cost of the material, okay? The next step would be to install the front number plate. So vary the speed to 1 because you're screwing in, okay? Select the appropriate drill bit. Whether you're screwing down a Phillips head or a star head, insert that into your magnetic bit holder and right into the chuck of the drill. Then let's proceed to screw or torque tighten the number plate onto the front bumper after taking off the protective film on the front number plate. And you can see that after the drilling process that the vinyl and rubber care has dried up, and it's quite glossy, shiny, looks brand new, and we can proceed to install the number plate. The final assembly process would entail screwing all 4 screws through the number plate onto the plastic or rubber bumper. Make sure that you vary the speed to 1 for screwing in and go lightly on the trigger when screwing in, okay? The link on the plastic caps are quite fickle, so make sure that when you're screwing them in, your hand isn't getting in the way. If the caps rotate when screwing in, okay, so just be careful that anytime, the cap comes to your thumb, that you get your thumb out of the way, okay? And once done, spray the w.r.t, especially silicone, on all them caps to prevent corrosive rust. And then seal the cap over the bolt head to prevent corrosive rust from the rain and the weather and other extenuating circumstances. Wipe off any excess, and that's your front and rear plates sorted. Cover them bolt caps, make sure they are secure to prevent, intrusion or ingress of water. And that's about it really. If you found the information useful, don't forget to subscribe, like and share, helps the channel grow, and hopefully catch up with you later. Thank you for your time and thank you for listening. Goodbye.